is Special Edition, a presentation of the First and People's Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network.
Welcome to Sit Down with the Superintendent, presented by GCHS TV. Join us as we welcome Greenup County Superintendent Tracy Moracey to our roundtable discussion hosted by GCHS students.
Well, that too. That's always a possibility. Okay, I think we are actually streaming now. So again, let me run back through everything. We had some technical difficulties again at the beginning of this, and as Tracy alluded to, typically I've got about, 10, 12 kids that's doing all of this stuff, and they do a fabulous job with all this. But unfortunately, here we are. Now we're live. Welcome in to everybody. Apologies for the technical issues, but we have everything squared away now. But real quickly, if you have a question for the show today, you can send it to GCPS, Greenup County Public Schools, .faq at greenup.kyschools.us. I'll get that link on the screen. That email will come in. We will address it on the show as we go through. We've got several questions that I'm going to present to Ms. Moracey here. And we'll see where we are and what we have going on and kind of go from there.
Okay.
So let's start with the first.
Wait, first question. Is my angry face still on the screen?
No, your angry face is gone. We've got that fixed, and I've got to fix our screen.
I've only
here
had 5 texts pop up
yeah,
on my
the
phone
angry
saying,
face, it was
you look angry.
Well, we were kidding with that when our stream locked up because of the network issues. I said I had a look of, oh my God, is this really happening? And you had this look of angry face. So it's there, but angry face is gone.
Angry face is gone.
And then I'm going to jump off the screen here for just a second because I need to adjust the camera. But I'm going to present us with our first question. Obviously, right now, the NTI days were presented up to March 27th. That was a total of 10 days. So our first question is, are we going to be back in school after March 27th, or does this appear that's going to be a longer session?
It appears it could be a little longer.
Oh, excuse me.
I don't think he wants to hear what I say. It appears it's going to be a little bit longer. We are looking at extending our NTI days, but the first thing we have to do is take a look at whether the legislature passes the ability to do so. So if this happens, then we will look at making our actual return date April 13th. I know that is not the best news for families who are already tired of homeschooling. I get that, but we have to look at what they're recommending as far as staying closer to home and social distancing. So we are looking at applying for more days if that opportunity becomes available. If within the next week we get all clear from the governor, then we're going back to school because we want our kids in school. Teachers are posting that they already miss their kids, and kids are posting the same thing. So our goal is to get back. I've been asked if we are closing down for the year. That is not anything that is crossing my mind right now. So we'll go ahead and dispel that myth. Unless the governor tells us we have to do something that drastic, we plan to be back.
Well, and it's something too that, as an educator as well, I've been in contact with a lot of my students virtually, and it's one of the things you do get kids. They say we miss you, and you miss your kids at the same time. But we understand that we have to kind of take a look at some of the stuff we've seen through the rest of the world and some of these countries that have decided to say this really isn't something. And to all the Facebook naysayers who are published doctors and all these people that like to say this is farce, it's nothing. It's probably better to err on the side of judgment of let's be safe rather than sorry later on.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, my expertise is in education and management of personnel. It is not in medical fields. So I am not going to be posting any kind of tips or doctor statements or
We
anything
won't
like
find
that.
any of that on your stuff.
You will not find that. So I encourage you, if you are watching and you are posting things, just make sure that it's something that's a valid resource and not necessarily just somebody else's opinion, because we want to remain calm and communicate well, and really understand that when we do share things that are really drastic, we can scare some people who don't know the difference. And then also, I have to say, I will say I've enjoyed some of your memes. Your memes with
Those are always great.
well, I'm enjoying the ones about homeschooling and how you've already suspended your kids and put them in school suspension. So we don't even get that drastic around here. So you guys are you're leading the way on behavior management. So thank you.
I just put the email up on the screen.
Okay.
So gcps.faq@greenup.kyschools.us. Again, if you have a question, you can hit us on YouTube. You can also email it to that, and we'll address it right here on the show. Obviously, a big one as we start looking at the time of year we are in. We're barreling down toward spring break. As soon as spring break's over, those two big questions come up: prom and graduation. And of course, we want to know what's the situation with prom and what's the situation with graduation as it stands.
As of right now, nothing has been canceled. When I meet, we are going to postpone our board meeting, which is scheduled this Monday, and that would have set our graduation date. We have postponed that until we can figure out how to do a meeting that is going to be more social distancing as being recommended. So on that date, once we have our meeting, we will post out our graduation date intent. As far as prom goes, I don't think it's next week, so we should be okay for now. And my suggestion is plan wisely, and my hope is we're back.
And a lot of kids, I think that's one of the things they understand is that we're trying to continue through this. And I know with my kids, I'll speak personally for my kids, they're staying on top of things. They don't want to fall behind of everything like this. So it's a different thing for our kids to go through, but it's one of the things they understand that this isn't vacation time. This is trying to make certain that we don't have to go back through.
And we've really been fortunate for our teachers to understand that as well. I see lots of communication going out there between the teachers and the students. I know my own child has had teachers connect and check on them to make sure that they're doing okay. We understand that we're here to work, and the ultimate goal is to not lose ground on the learning that has been gained throughout the year. We do not want to regress in our learning. So that's one of the reasons why there are so many, it seems like a lot of assignments, but if you calculate how long the students are in school each day and should be here each day, you will start to realize that I don't know that there are as many assignments if you really do a full day of 8 to 3. So just kind of keep that in mind as you feel overwhelmed. But we're working on making sure we can make them as engaging as possible.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break just so we can make sure we've got all the technical issues worked out. We'll step out for 60 seconds. When we come back, we'll continue addressing the questions that have already been submitted. Plus, if you have any questions, that is on the screen there, gcps.faq@greenup.kyschools.us. We'll be right back with this special edition of Sit Down with the Superintendent right after this here on GCHS TV. The whole thing froze as soon as we went on. Oops. Check. And welcome back to the special edition of Sit Down with the Superintendent. James Collier here with GCHS TV, joined with Superintendent Tracy Marisi. I understand we had some hot mics. I had to do that. We had some technical issues. I'm a one-man band right now, okay? I need my kids. My kids make me look beautiful.
Yes.
And that's a hard thing to do. Everybody told me I do a lot of stuff with radio. They say, you have a face built for radio. I thought that was a compliment at first. I was like, well, okay.
You know, hey, listen, when you can look out here and see your face delayed as an angry face with 5 chins, you start to second guess whether or not you need to get moving.
You told me, you said no 1080 this morning, and I promise I didn't do that on purpose, okay?
Okay,
that was not
he promised no high definition.
No high def, so hopefully everything is squared away so moving forward. And again, guys, stay with us here. We're doing the best we can with the pieces. Like I said, I wanted to bring my kids in. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring them in because of where we are. But
does this count as their grade today?
I think this is my grade.
Okay.
So they're probably grading me right now. I'll probably get plenty of stuff from them. Again, you see the screen there, gcps.faq@greenup.kyschools.us. That is a live email that is being monitored currently. So if you have any questions that you would like for us to respond to, please send it to there, and we'll add it into the show as we go through here. Let's continue on. Why are we not delivering meals on buses for people who do not have transportation?
Okay, so simply put, we do not get a funded situation for that. So our bus drivers who deliver meals, we'd have to have special guidelines for that, such as keeping food hot and fresh. And when we learn about a need of a family that does not have transportation, then we provide that privately. So our Frisky and food service workers, together along with our DPP office, they're identifying and cross-checking to make sure people are not getting duplicate services. We don't want the supplies to be wasted. We want them to go out to who needs them. So if you do have a situation with transportation, or you know a neighbor down the street that may be struggling, just reach out to us and let us know. But as far as using buses to deliver meals, the expense because of the size of our county is just too great. We do not get enough funding to be able to run those buses like some districts are able to do. Simply, we don't have the kind of tax base some of those districts have. They have it to take out of their general funds. We really don't. So we're trying to do it strategically to make sure that no kid is left behind in feeding, but also to not jeopardize our own bus drivers, who many are over the age of 60 in that target range, that could get ill from doing some of these runs.
And it's something that we take into account. We look at Greenup County Schools. It's a very large area, and again, we try to do as much as we possibly can, but at some time, trying to be able to facilitate getting to every single place that we have to go to, that's not feasible, especially right now where we stand.
There are certain places in our district that buses don't run anyway. Kids have to walk down to greet the bus because there really isn't a suitable driveway or turnaround place. So, when you start trying to get to all those nooks and crannies, you individually leave someone out, and you don't want to do that. So we are trying to make sure that people, we also have our food service they know their kids. It's really been touching. Those ladies have refused to go home. We have tried to get them to, take turns, don't have anyone who doesn't feel well come in, and they are troopers. If they're, obviously if they're ill, they're not coming in, but we have no reported issues. And our teachers support and know who our kids are, so they're also reporting who may or may not have some food service issues. But these food service ladies, bless their hearts, they are listing names. They are sending us a list of names saying, I have not seen this particular child, and when this child comes through, they usually ask for extra. So that is helping us kind of target certain kids. That way we're not running buses out to every street, but we're able to just do individual baskets of food, things like that will save.
Okay, we just had a live question come in. I'm going to go ahead and I think it's going to go into our next part that we're going to, but the question was, how many hours do you recommend a sophomore to spend each day with schoolwork? He has these packets that seem so overwhelming that I've set him up with a schedule, about 45 minutes per class. Is this realistic? Now, I will say, each day, our class is 50-minute class periods. So I think your 45 minutes per class period seems to be logical. And again, that's something that we have to make certain we understand with our kids. This is not something to where we're on a vacation. We are not on vacation. This is school. So we need to have our kids still in that normal daily balance
Right.
of getting out of bed, not waiting until noon, 2 o'clock to get out of bed.
Yes.
Get your kids up. This is still something, because the thing is our hopes are, no matter what we see from all around, we hope to come back to school.
Yes, and we want you to have grades to come back to. And we also are hoping to get some ways to get some things turned in that are not digital in the near future, just so that it doesn't start to pile up. We want our students to continue to succeed. And this is not a spring break. This is truly when you get up, you get to work just like you would if you came to school. Teachers, they have to provide lessons. They have to document them. Often this results in an assignment. The only way we can get our kids to have credit for this day of learning is to prove that we worked with them and did something with them that is educational and not just a review or watch a video from time to time. We need to actually be teaching. So we're encouraging our teachers to use digital resources, Facebook Live.
Tracy just dropped her microphone box.
I did, because I have no pockets and nowhere to stick.
Listen, this is going to be
thing.
this is
Yeah,
going
it's
to go
great.
for a
Yeah,
word.
sorry.
Okay, so guys, this is live. Okay,
If you could
can't make this
recommend
stuff
us
up.
for an Emmy, that would be great. We're asking people to do Google Hangouts to document work, and this should decrease the daily assignments, but increase learning. So it does leave some of our kids who don't have technology a little bit in limbo. But I will say, before we even started this, we did a survey, and the survey showed that over 90% of our students do have technology access. So that was something we did before we even put this in place. I will credit your class and student council for getting that going, because all year long, the main question has been, why don't we do NTI days? When can we start doing NTI days? Other people do NTI days. So we had already started to put into place, could we do them? And how could we do them well? So luckily, it just, the good Lord took care of us. We had started a survey to find out how many kids did have access. And we were very surprised to know that over 90% do. So it's a different time in the world, and our kids and parents have put that down as a priority for them for communication. I know some people don't even have home phones. They have smartphones. So the access is actually there much more than I ever anticipated. So we're working on making sure it's meaningful work that you can meet in with your kids. Your kids can talk to teachers and keep this going in a positive route without it being stacks and stacks of the worksheet mill.
And one thing that I will say as an educator to the parents, when your kids are in these live sessions, sit there and watch what they're doing. Be a part of the classroom, because you get to see this is not just a hangout session where they're just talking and goofing off. There's real learning going on.
So there's no video games?
There's no video games
Okay.
while we're doing this.
All right.
Okay. Now we may talk video games, but we're still learning. I know last night I did a session with my kids, just checking in with them and making certain that their connectivity is okay, that they're not having any issues with the lectures that they're getting. But each class, and this is something to pass along for the parents, each class is required to make contact with every student that we have at least once a week. We're calling this wellness checks.
That's a mandate from our central office. We have stated this is what we want you to do. We want every student to be checked on, because we worry about you. We want you to do well.
And please understand, when we say these wellness checks, that means we physically have to either speak to the child, talk to the child, see their face on the screen. And if we can't do that, then we're going to start ringing those phones that's listed in Infinite Campus, sending emails. We're trying to make certain, one, that they're doing okay, and two, that this information that we're sending out for education, they're not falling behind. Because again, our goal is to return to school, and when we return, we want to pick right up where we are and keep on moving.
And you have to remember, the true intent of an NTI day was never meant to be long-term. When they put this process in place in our state, they had no anticipation of this being a 2 and 3 week process. So there are still bugs to work out, not to mention this is truly our first time ever doing it in our district. I have to say, I'm rather proud of what's happened so far. Our teachers have embraced it, our admin has embraced it, classified staff has been on board to help out with things. Truly appreciate that.
Again, if you have a question for the show, you can send it to the email you see there on the bottom of your screen, gcps.faq at greenup.kyschools.us. A quick hello, Mary Rourke. She was my stage manager. She was hooking me up here saying, hey, this is not working. This isn't working.
Oh, very
so
good.
She's checking in. Steve Carter giving me a thumbs up, saying, hey, man, you had a hot mic. I said, I know. We had to have a hot mic. But we've got people checking in, as well as Mike Ratliff saying, thanks so much for everything that we're doing. So, again, if you just want to send us a message and comment of what's going on or anything that you've seen.
Brian Gillum messaged me and told me that we had a hot mic. So
yes.
Thank you for warning us before we did something really stupid.
And it's something, one of the things I teach my kids in this class, I said, always treat every microphone like it's always on. Mm-hmm. And I had people blowing me up saying, your mic's hot. And I was like, I understand it's hot. It has to be hot. I have to fix our audio questions. So, so that's where we are. All right, let's keep moving along here. One of the things that says, how do I get my work turned back into a teacher if it's a paper copy?
Okay, so, some teachers chose to do a mix because they weren't completely comfortable with all their kids doing all technology. Others actually sent home complete packets that were identical to the work assigned in Google because maybe their child said, hey, I really don't have great connection at home. I might have a little computer, but it's not great. We're going to begin collecting that work in paper form at the end of next week. We are going to announce this in detail by March 25th, so that's 1 week from today. I've strategically given myself time to get a very solid plan in place because everyone has a different situation. Our county is very unique. We have people who live just across the street from a school. We have people who live 40 minutes from a school. So paper copies could be difficult. So we are making sure we're doing that in a wise way.
One of the things we've already kind of touched on this is that one of my students who don't have internet, and as our survey showed, we had over 90% of the students in the district that had some form of technology.
Yes, I was very happy to hear that, and that is why we're encouraging. If you will see, sometimes we're sharing out different activities and things via Facebook. I know not everybody has social media or Twitter, but we do have some plans to get things posted on our main webpage as well to get home to you and via email, remind, those types of things.
And they have a system in place to where there's someone at every building throughout the day to where someone needs to stop in, drop things off, pick stuff up. There is someone located at each building in the district.
And we have staggered hours and kind of shortened our hours just because it does become cumbersome for people who are trying to homeschool their children and be at work at the same time, me included. Thank God for my husband. And what we'll tell you is we're doing a 9 to 1. Definitely someone will be in the building. That doesn't mean somebody isn't rolling in at 7:30 as usual, or somebody isn't coming in, and staying until 4. That is happening. But if you want to get in touch with someone at our building, 9 to 1 are our basic hours we have right now. Every building is covered with a principal or a secretary, and then we have maintenance and custodial staff checking in to make sure. These are things we're thinking about. Are the coolers running correctly? Are the freezers running? Do we have electric running throughout the building? Those are things that we're checking on the facilities as well.
And though this is a question that I've dealt with a lot of my kids, is they keep saying, are we coming back to school? What's this? And the thing that we want to, I think, as a district as a whole, to see, don't get upset when we don't answer that question, because right now it's not a question that can be answered.
Yes, because anything I say online or on this
it's
video,
going to show up
it's
somewhere.
going to show up somewhere. And I do, I eat enough. I don't need to eat my words. So I am really trying to be diplomatic in this process.
I hope that the screen that we started off with doesn't show up in your history sometime.
I'm afraid that when you Google my name, it's just going to be angry face.
It's going to be the new meme.
Yeah, it is. Angry face. Kids, don't make a meme of this. I will remember who you are.
Yeah, we still want to graduate, okay? Lastly, as we finish up here, our district staff still getting paid?
Yes. There's this crazy rumor out that we're not going to pay our staff. We are still paying our staff. I will tell you that many of our staff are working twice as hard as they did before this NTI day, because it is much easier to talk to a kid and teach a kid in person, and to feed a kid in person, to clothe a kid in person, than it is to try to do that virtually. So his Google Hangout was at 8 o'clock last night?
Yes.
Okay, so I joked that he should get an NTI night instead of an NTI day.
Yeah, my kids they seem to work better during that time frame. I think I worked a little better too. But it's crazy to think. And I got to give a shout out to all the kids in the district as well, especially from the high school here, of how well that they've been the communication that they've put forth, and the patience that they've shown as well, because I think they are understanding real quick, this is something new for the teachers. And we have a lot of teachers in the district that they have incorporated technology, but maybe haven't harnessed it totally. So we're trying to get them caught up to speed with that. So again, guys, this is an all hands on deck, and your patience is included as well.
Yes, we do appreciate our kids, and we are loving the families sharing their pictures. I've been trying to repost and share things that come my way of how you've gotten your day organized. I see parents have little agendas in front of their kids of at this time you will do this, and at this time you will have outside recess. Please continue that, because schedules are very important to learning. If you are off schedule, you sometimes just don't get it as well. And another concept to remember is I'm going to work on putting out some healthy challenges to kind of get people up and moving and outside. Obviously, it won't be today because it's raining, but I'm going to work on some things just to kind of put you guys out there as challenges and ask you to share back with me on social media. So if you want to join that, I'd greatly appreciate it, because it gets a little lonely sharing things out all the time and not knowing if anyone is paying a bit of attention or just
You're going to find out if people are paying attention.
I'm going to find out today. I really am, because they're going to go, you know what? I counted your chins. There were 10.
Oh,
there were
goodness
10.
sakes, please stop. We're on 1080p, okay?
Okay.
Everything, she asked me, so please don't do 1080p. I said, that's all the way we go here. We try to go big. That's who would have ever guessed that we put this class together, we build this great studio with the support of Jason Smith, my principal, and the public school system here, and turns out to be something that we can use in this format. And
Absolutely.
I know that I've got a few people that actually attended my session at Kisti last week. They're actually tuning in to see what we're doing, because they're wanting to start using. Yeah, we've got a lot of eyes on us, and it's great that we can put this out there.
And not all superintendents have this kind of access to be able to get out to people, so I really appreciate that.
And this is something that I would expect us to be able to do as we get new information that we want to roll out. So that email address, guys, it's not just for today. You can field questions to that email address, and we can respond to those individually, and then we can also present those on a future program that we'll be seeing here coming up.
And this is all typed up as far as the answers to the questions we've gotten so far. So I will post the formal typed answers to this in case there's something you missed. And then this will be reposted for replay, so you can replay my angry face.
It was stuck on the screen, okay?
Yes,
my face of distraught, Tracy's face of angry. You can go back and replay that.
Yeah.
And if you know of anyone that was not able to watch the program today live, that stream, it is live. You can go to YouTube and replay it anytime that you wish. Even if there's something that you wanted to go back and check on or find out, that's something that's there as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You got some items here that you want to touch in base on before we wrap this up, and then we'll close things out.
I wanted to end with a little bit of news and updates. First thing, just a reminder, if you had a building use request in for like a civic organization, birthday parties, things like that, we are not going to be able to honor those during this time, just because I think everybody understands that and they've been contacted individually. But just so you understand, those things will not be happening here on school site. Food service, we are working on doubling up meals when you do the pickup. That will save travel for you. So if you're coming out to pick up a meal, today, you got today and tomorrow's meal, both breakfast and lunch. So you basically picked up 4 meals when you came in today. That will keep you from having to travel back out tomorrow. So we're trying to think about your gas and wear and tear on your vehicle as well. Now let's end it with some good news.
Okay.
We did just get word today that we received the 21st Century After School Program grant. See, that's indication we're coming back one day, guys. We really are. And Grays Branch and Argolite have been added to that. Now that won't begin until next year. That's when we'll get the funding. So next year we will have those 2 after-school programs in place for parents and students. So we're excited about that.
It's not the Armageddon that everybody makes.
No, there's good news.
There is good news. It's at some point, whenever that point may be, we're coming back to school.
We are coming back, and hopefully, we'll be ready to hit the road running. I know as far as sanitation, we're ready to roll. We're just really proud of our people, and in a sincere thought, we care about you, and we want you to be healthy and take all of the precautions necessary as far as, like we said, it's not movie and ball game season right now, and we're sorry about that. But this might be a chance for you to spend a little time on puzzles and activities, enjoying some time with family. And I think, I'll be honest, a lot of people are starting to understand what public schools do. We do a little more than just teach. We work on mental health, clothing, food, nursing. There are a lot of things that we offer that we're having to try to figure out a creative way to do for you. And we are looking at every way to be creative as long as it's still funded and we can keep it up.
One thing I just received some questions on spring sports. Are those canceled or where we are? Currently, right now, based from the KHSAA, we are in a full-fledged dead period.
Yes.
So the only difference between this dead period as compared to our regular dead period that we see in the end of June and 1st of July, coaches can still have contact with players and parents so they can keep them up to date of what's going on. Other than that, if you are a rostered player, you cannot participate in any form of organized sports. This includes travels, and that still includes basketball because they have not canceled basketball. It is postponed. I spoke with Julian Tackett on Saturday, and he said he has told his crew specifically, do not use the word cancel. Right now, it is indefinitely suspended with the hopes that it comes back. At the same time, it also goes with the fact of spring sports, so baseball, softball, and of course, one of the things that we just brought in here not too long ago, it's also bass fishing season, and I've got a lot of kids that's really frustrated because we're not out fishing.
I wonder who their coach is.
I don't know who that guy is.
Okay.
I left my sweatshirt over on the side. I couldn't, it would just disappear because it's got so much green on it.
I understand. I strategically wore black because
We kind of color coordinated. We did not plan on doing this either, so it's, but you're learning.
I'm learning.
She showed up one day in here and just completely green head to toe. And I said, Tracy, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
We flipped it around. We went to a blue screen.
I appreciate that.
And we make it happen. But
Yeah.
guys, stay with us. We'll figure this stuff out together. It's a work in progress. It is a very fluid situation. And at the end of the day, life is going to go on. It's going to make things the way we do normal day-to-day business a little bit different for a while.
People will talk about the pandemic of 2020.
Yeah, everybody said, can we go back and hit the button on reset for 2020? I saw somebody on the internet the other day say, can we just unplug it and plug it back in? And it's been a fun year.
No, it hasn't.
Not even close. All right, Tracy, thanks so much. We will touch base with this again, and as
You want to try next Wednesday?
yeah, you just want to plan on that?
Let's just do our
Let's
regular
plan on
schedule
doing it.
next Wednesday.
Okay, so next Wednesday at 12 noon, right here, and I promise we'll have some technical issues all squared away that day.
Okay.
So hopefully
The
no
live
no
mic
anger.
is fun. The live mic is fun.
Oh,
It's okay.
absolutely. You never know what you're going to hear on this stuff.
You don't.
But
Send
yeah.
us your questions, and we will try to get those answered live for you on Wednesday, unless it's something that we think needs an emergency answer. We'll post it out on social media.
And even with that, when we receive those messages, we may still go ahead and respond back to you, and then we can still address those on the show.
Communication's key.
Absolutely.
right.
Guys, that'll do it for us.
right.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe.
All right. Thanks, guys.
This is Special Edition, a presentation of the First and People's Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network. This is Special Edition, a presentation of the First and People's Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network. This is Special Edition, a presentation of the First and People's Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network. This is Special Edition, a presentation of the First and Peoples Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network.
And good afternoon. We're going to move the mic so that Chris and I can have a conversation. It says the internet's going to go off now. And, you know, that's just sort of how my life has worked. It's back on now. So let me close down some things so I'm not using any more internet than I have to. And then we'll be ready to ride. Okay, here we go. And I brought you here to talk about the coronavirus, COVID-19, from a Greenup County perspective.
It's been in the news a little bit.
And you can't speak for the world and the World Health and the CDC. You can only repeat what they've told you, and you have your own position.
Right. Here in Greenup County, you know, we've not been getting a lot of news locally as far as what kind of outbreak that we've had, and that's good news.
It is.
But as the testing starts to pick up around the state and locally, as the local labs start to test for that, we would expect to see some local cases from this coronavirus.
Well, I kind of thought that was coming, just to be honest with you. So this is an exclusive presentation of First and Peoples Bank and the Greenup Beacon Media Network. We're going to step away coming up here in a couple minutes, but right now, Chris, I would like you to explain, even though we've done this on the show, what your position is and how you fit into the realm of things. Executive Director?
The Public Health Director.
Public Health Director. And is that an appointed position by the state, or do you apply and get hired?
The Greenup County Board of Health is the one that is responsible for hiring and firing Public Health Director. So each county or health district has the authority to hire a Public Health Director or Health Commissioner.
Okay. And so consequently, you are hired by the local Board of Health.
Yes, health commissioners are generally physicians, and most of the metro areas would have those. You'd have one in Northern Kentucky, Fayette County, Jefferson County, but most of the independent county health departments would have a Public Health Director.
Right. So I guess that's good, though, that that you don't have to be a doctor.
No, I've got a master's degree.
Yeah.
It's served me well so far.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back. This is the First and Peoples Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network.
At First and Peoples Bank and Trust, we're not only your home office, we're your hometown bank. We're your friends, your neighbors, even your relatives. When you enter our front door, you're going to be our #1 priority, because here at First and Peoples Bank, we're here to serve you. Tired of dealing with that corporate bank where you're just a number? Come see us at First and Peoples Bank and Trust, where we'll treat you just like a friend. Whether you're buying your first house, your second house, or financing a new car, come see us at First and Peoples Bank and Trust.
Greenup County Health Director, is that the right term?
Yes.
Is that it?
We'll take it.
Let's hope I don't have it. I do worry about it because I do have a suppressed immune system ever since diabetes and those things. So if you brought it and gave it to me, I'm going to give it back. I just promise. I do not make light of it whatsoever. I think that if you feel like you shouldn't be out, you shouldn't be out. That's why I do this in a room by myself. I don't have an audience or anything. So
I'm using the standard precautions to help protect all those people around me. As you know, unlike the flu, there's no vaccine for this
right.
Coronavirus that's circulating. And so, you know, we have to take all the other standard precautions that are available. You know, we're going to, again, one of those terms that everybody's already getting tired of and they just heard about it, was social distancing. So right now, we're not within our social distancing distance. They want you to stay about 6 feet away from someone.
Right.
And so, you know, that's one of the first things. Keep away. You see a lot of these events that are being canceled. And that's because, people don't.
Well, they sit
they're
arm
not,
to arm.
Right, they're not able to practice good, safe social distancing. The other things that, same things that you hear about flu are going to protect you, but also things that need to stay at the forefront as we're trying to stem this spread. So you want to cover your cough. You don't want to cough into your hands. You want to wash your hands and do it appropriately. A lot of people, they think they just rinse their hands a little bit and they go on. That's not going to work.
No.
It's not enough. It helps, but it's not enough. But the physical friction of water actually does help wash away germs. So you need to do that. You want the water to be warm, but it's more important that you use water than it is that has to be warm water. So, again, warm water is important. Water is more important that it's actually washing the germs off. And you want to use the soap. Does it have to be antibacterial soap? No. But you want to use soap because that helps move the germs off of your hands.
Well, dial soap has always been antibacterial. That's what we use.
Definitely antibacterial is a great thing to use. A lot of people, they put a lot of faith in the hand sanitizers. You've seen
I do not.
You've seen the big rush
Yeah.
for all the big box stores are running out. You can't have it delivered. You're people
Amazon
having
doesn't have any more.
So again, the makeup of those with the alcohol, yes, it's going to kill some germs, but it's not the same because you don't get the same amount of germs that are being washed away. You look at sanitizing, restaurants, you see they get inspected, things like that. They're doing sanitary practices already. They're already using bleach products to help sanitize their workstations and the places that you eat and the places that you eat food. So those things are already being done. So you're protected there. But what you're not being protected from is those people that are putting germs in the air, coughing, those things
Coughing,
like that. Touching. So anything that's not being sanitized regularly is going to put you at risk.
Well, in my mind, I've watched a whole lot of this. One of the doctor's wives, Brittany Hoback, she used to be our hostess on this show for 2 years when we did it at the McConnell House. She made her own sanitizer because she wanted it to be what she knew would work. And she used alcohol, aloe, what is it? It's not aloha, it's aloe. And she had a formula, and then I saw doctors on online, and of course, anything can be a lie. I'm not trying to make anything concrete. Third of a cup of water to a gallon of third of a cup of bleach to a gallon of water. You can use it to wipe down things. It is as effective as store-bought.
Yes.
So it's those.
It's the most effective sanitary thing that you can produce on your own.
Right. So anyway, I'm trying to help pass the information for the great public things. Of course, while we're live here, they just called off the state tournaments.
Again, that's the social distancing thing. You've only seen 8 confirmed cases as of the last report that I had. Of all the counties that have been sending in state samples, around 80 that have been sent off to the state to be tested, only 8 of them have come back positive. 5 of them in Harrison County, 2 in Fayette, 2 in Jefferson County. So, like I said, these are all state tested, verified that they have the coronavirus. So that's being done by the state. Those test kits are being provided by the CDC to the states on an as-needed basis. So if there's a state that has a larger outbreak,
right,
they're going to have the priority. They're going to get the most test kits. Now, it has been promised that within the next week that the commercial labs will have those available. And so then, a lot of people want to go to their doctor's office and get tested. They want to go to the hospital, they want to go to the ER and get tested. They're not going to have the capacity to do that right now. They're not going to have those available. But they will be able to send samples off to the state if you meet the criteria that the state has set. Now, as you have more people that have very similar symptoms, You're going to see these local providers starting to do those tests, and so you're going to see those numbers go up. You just are.
I noticed that with the basketball games, at first they were going to try to finish the girls, then that got back down, and then they were going to do today and then have no crowds for the rest of the tournament. Just 20 minutes ago, you were here when I got the calls. They're going to not play at all. So I think I want to go back to social distancing. People want us, because the word social's in there, they want to tie it to Facebook, But in my opinion, you shouldn't get close to people.
Yeah, I mean,
because you get out of your environment. I know being diabetic and having chronic osteomyelitis, that in my home environment, it's not going to spread. It's when I went other places that it spreads.
I mean, you've had the governor put out his statements. He's on there daily, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And the biggest uproar that you've seen so far is he says, you probably shouldn't go to church this week.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to cause a lot of harsh feelings, a lot of hard feelings for people that feel like that's necessary. And again, there's different ways that different people worship, and like I said, it's an opportunity to keep people from getting infected. The bulk of our population that goes to church these days, they're older. So, and that population that's being hit the hardest is that 60 and over crowd. And again, if you've been to church, you realize our church population is aging.
An older
it's an
population.
Older, so they are the most vulnerable population out there. And it's kind of like when I talk about the flu. Why would you risk those people's lives by coming out if you don't have to? There's other opportunities to do online worship and to do online giving for your churches. That really they need those funds, and they depend on them week to week. But this is a chance to protect those people that have been there for you your whole life, and you don't really want to go out and infect them or have a chance that they're going to become infected.
Back to the tournaments. It is my understanding that both the rest of the girls and all the boys have been canceled. I got a couple of questions. And, I'm trying to be a conduit of information. I do, and I did put on my post, you were here, we were laughing. I didn't make the decision. I'm just trying to pass along what I can confirm, and I did confirm it from one of the area school administrators, so that, I won't lay it on him if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think I'm pretty accurate. So
yeah, I mean, those are things where people are doing transactions. You're seeing money move back and forth. You're seeing goods being sold. So you've got hand-to-hand contact. You've got hand to you touch a surface, and if you don't immediately clean it, there's a chance that germ is going to be spread.
Well, it's just like my family. I don't use a straw, but my daughter said last night, you shouldn't drink without a straw. And she's right. Because that, no matter how hot you wash something, if the server has come in contact with it, that's an intermediate stop, so.
And, the health department, they do check the temperature in these dishwashers and the water, that make sure that those things hit certain temperatures to kill germs. But again, we're there twice a year. And so, if you're looking at...
So if the element goes out today, it could be cold water.
It could. And so if they don't have it fixed, so there is the chance that germs can be spread through a restaurant.
Well, now they're saying that the boys have not been called off, so I don't know. I'm just going with what I have. So
there's a new rumor every second. The last thing I'd heard was that each player gets 4 tickets.
That was the last I heard. So, well, we shall see.
They said if a crowd of 200 kids comes in from a school to watch, that they would be not allowed to sit together, and they would be dispersed to a safe distance.
Well, from what I understand, no bands, no cheerleaders. It's all been. But, I see where Zach Clemmy has just posted that Mark Swift, the Ashland AD, has said they haven't gotten word on the boys yet. Well, two people just told me the boys boys have been called off. So anyway, but this all ties into why I have you here. So what I want to ask you, and I see if you want to talk about what people stay at home, if you want to talk about that, go ahead, and then I'm going to throw some things to you.
You know, you worry, like, well, people, once they hear something over and over and over, they quit listening. And so,
Right.
you know, we have to be careful about that and the way it's presented. But, you know, stay home, you know, call the numbers that are available, or check the websites that are available for the most up-to-date information. And if you are symptomatic, to seek care. So, you know, I want to make sure that I get out the state hotline, 1-800-722-5725. That's the Kentucky State Hotline for the COVID-19 outbreak. It's 1-800-722-5725. Or you can go on the website that the state has set up, and that's kycovid19.ky.gov.
I actually have it saved in my taskbar.
So do I.
So, well, yeah, you get paid.
But no,
But-
that's the most updated, and like I said, at least daily. I mean, they are updated more often than that. But if you want to see, you know, how many cases there are around the state, you know, that's how you're going to find out. And if you want to know, like I said, they're pretty good about letting you know what county they're in. But for the privacy fact, for HIPAA violations or anything like that, they make sure that there's really no way to identify those patients.
Right.
A lot of people have asked, you know, how are they doing? And so generally our first response is we can't tell you because it's a HIPAA violation. But I've noticed that there's been a decent amount of information that it's not exactly leaked out. The people that are recovering from the virus are willing to share and let their communities know how they're doing. And so far, again, no deaths here in Greenup, or in none in Greenup, none in Kentucky, but the people are recovering.
Right. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I'll be back with a couple more questions for Chris in a minute. This is the First and People's Bank, Greenup Beacon Media Network.
At First and People's Bank and Trust, we're not only your home office, we're your hometown bank. We're your friends, your neighbors, even your relatives. When you enter our front door, you're going to be our #1 priority, because here at First and People's Bank, we're here to serve you. Tired of dealing with that corporate bank where you're just a number? Come see us at First and People's Bank and Trust, where we'll treat you just like a friend. Whether you're buying your first house, your second house, or financing a new car, come see us at First and People's Bank and Trust.
The Greenup Beacon Media Network, free today and tomorrow, as a service to our readers, viewers, and listeners. Thank you for your support of the Greenup Beacon Print Edition, online news site, Greenup Beacon Radio, and Greenup Beacon online video products. The Greenup Beacon Media Network, free today and tomorrow, as a service to our readers, viewers, and listeners. Thank you for your support of the Greenup Beacon Print Edition, online news site, Greenup Beacon Radio, and Greenup Beacon online video products.
Chris Crum, who's the director of the Greenup County Health Department. And Chris, what are some questions that you have gotten by phone? I don't want to say dumb questions, but questions that people call, let's say, unusual questions. I'm sure you have some of those.
Well, you know, it hasn't been too bad yet. I mean, generally, as it ramps up, we'll start to see more. The biggest thing is, you know, people that don't have a fever, people that don't have a cough,
Right.
People that really aren't symptomatic, and they want to know if they need to be tested. No, well, the resources aren't there for them to be tested, but you really don't want to be out using, you know, our emergency rooms and filling up our physicians' practices if you really don't have any of those risk factors and or you're asymptomatic.
Okay. All right, we're going to let Chris run through his spiel. close things up, and then we're going to let him go back so he can take a few more phone calls. So I asked you said you wanted to speak about a couple things, so just start in the middle and go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, talk to, our employers out there. There's a fiscal impact to this, to this outbreak that's going to, see repercussions for an extended period of time. And so I would just ask that employers, that if you have people that are symptomatic and they have met the criteria as far as being possibly exposed to the coronavirus, that they be lenient with their sick time and have available sick time, and not to punish these employees for trying to protect their fellow co-workers or the public that comes in that they have to serve. So we just want to make sure that our community is working together and not trying to punish people for living their lives and being out there and having to make a living. And so we want to make sure that we protect our people, by social distancing, but also to make sure that we're not punishing anybody by having someone lose their livelihood just because they become sick. We want to protect everybody, and that's one of our key things that we want to focus on to make sure that we keep everybody safe.
I don't know if you can address what I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you. People are trying to draw comparisons to the flu, A and B, to this virus. Not exactly the same thing, right?
No, they're a virus, and the way that they're spread, you have a lot of similarities. But you look at the population that's being targeted as far as the worst outcomes, the elderly, 60 and over. And so you look at that, people that have the flu shot, they have some protection against that. And most, a large portion of our population has that herd immunity that you hear about, to flu. And so it causes the outcomes to be a little bit better if you've had the flu shot, even if you contract it after you've been vaccinated. There's all these things that help the outcomes from flu, that to not be that horrible 1918 flu, that pandemic that killed so many people.
Right.
And so it doesn't have a vaccine. You don't have that protection. You don't have that out to the community to protect them. So we want to make sure that we protect them in the only way we can, and that's to not expose them to the virus.
Just got a tweet from, my guess is Matt Gilbert, the athletic director at Greenup, that all indoor athletic activities, practice, or competition has been canceled for today and Friday at Greenup County. Now, that does not say about baseball and outside. It just says indoor. So I would assume that baseball and softball can go on, but I don't see it being very long before it all gets canceled, at least for a week or two.
The recommendations that I made, I haven't said, you need to cancel all these events, and I've been in touch with most of the school systems and some of the athletic departments. And, for baseball, again, it's an outdoor sport, softball, outdoor sports, so soccer, those types of things, you can stay away from each other. I said, if you're taking money, you're spreading germs. So, you probably need to have the hand sanitizer right there available after
wear gloves.
Yeah, after each transaction. Yeah. And so, also like bleachers. If you have bleachers, rope those off. Tell people to bring their own chairs.
Right.
Keep it a safe distance.
Right.
We can manage this without canceling everything, in my opinion.
Well, I agree, but I don't think you can manage the SEC tournament.
No.
Because, Kentucky travels with 20,000, 15,000 people, particularly when it's close. That's close. It's not like we're playing in the West. I do not exactly see how I can envision them playing the entire NCAA tournament with no fans. But I suppose, it would just be like a scrimmage.
Pretty much.
Only it would count. But I think you'd have more upsets, and I think you'd see things you might not see. Because let's face it, when you got 10,000 people cheering for you. That's one thing.
I'm a big sports fan. I'm a big basketball fan. I'm a big NCAA fan. And so, yeah, you've got those Cinderella teams that you want to win, and you know that when that crowd gets behind them, that those threes start falling.
Absolutely.
And so, I think you will see that that's not going to happen like we've seen in the past.
All right, I'm still trying to read all these things. Is there anything else that we should point out? Give the health department's phone number, please.
If you have any questions, 606-473-9838. It's the Greenup County Health Department. We'd be happy to field your calls. But again, if you want the most up-to-date information, go to the state's website. And also, if you feel like you are possibly exposing someone else or have been exposed to the virus, call the state hotline.
And do you have that number?
I do. We've got that at the Kentucky State Hotline is 1-800-722-5725.
All right. Chris Crum, the director of the Greenup County Health Department, all-around good guy.
That's right.
That's what they tell me.
That's what I tell myself.
I don't ask you what I'm for. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you.
I appreciate you very much. We hope this has offered some information that you did not have, and if it repeated what you do know, try to put it into practice to make sure that you stay safe. We're not, I'm not trying to save the world. Just take care of yourself. And if you're old like me and falling apart, you need to go home, and that's exactly where I'm going to go. Thanks for joining us. This has been Special Edition with Chris Crum, a special presentation of the First and People's Bank and Greenup Beacon Media Network.
This is special.